Well, something that is important to realize is that perhaps without noticing, we live in a world that is very heavily regulated. Regulation is everywhere. So you can think of the traffic, the laws, the rules of the road. You can think of to go to a theater, you need to purchase a ticket. In education, we have different levels, we have subjects that are mandatory, we have exams, we have notes, grades, all that. Parents tell their children what they should and should not do. All that is regulation. And regulation is not only at a personal level, it is also very important at industrial level. So the power sector is also subject to an important amount of regulation. The companies cannot build the networks as they wish. The networks have to be used by different entities. These entities need permission. Those who develop the networks have to be remunerated for what they do. That cost of remuneration has to be allocated to those who use the networks with some charges. The people that generate electricity with different technologies, that has to be coordinated so that the electricity is used at every time in the most efficient way. So there are many different instances in which the regulation appears. And the regulation determines very much the behavior of the agents, the people, and also the companies. And if the regulation is not following the best practices, it is not an efficient regulation, it is not enforced properly, then that leads to, well, inefficient outcomes, and people will not have electricity at the lowest possible cost, and the quality will not be adequate, and the price will not be will not be adequate, will be affordable. So that means that it is important to bring the best practices to every country adapted to the particular circumstances. A group of organizations realized, attending to the situation in most of Africa, that capacity building in Africa and energy regulation was important. Initially, that had to do with an initiative of the African Union and the European Union that decided to find ideas of collaboration between the two institutions, the two continents, and one of the areas of collaboration was in capacity building. And therefore, the idea of the African School of Regulation came very naturally as creating a center of excellence that could provide training for the professionals in the energy sector in Africa, could provide research in the particular topics that require new ideas, innovation in energy regulation in Africa, also to create a space of policy dialogue, of contact among the different partners, and also a repository of documents where people could find the best ideas, the best practices, and exchange those ideas and practices among the different countries. So this is how the initiative to create an African School of Regulation started. We are very fortunate that a large number of institutions, strong organizations, international, African, European, are supporting this initiative. We call them the supporting organizations, and that goes from foundations like Enel Foundation, the Foundation of Kandji Mkela, organizations that non-profit like Sustainable Energy for All, Power for All, the Foundation Africa Europe, Friends of Europe, and then we could have academic institutions such as the University of Cape Town, Pan-African University, the European Commission, the African Development Bank, the World Bank. Many organizations are behind, also industrial organizations like AMDA or GOGLA, Rest for Africa, are supporting what we do. But as we were too many, it was decided to have a group that would manage the initiative. And the group is composed of 3 universities, University of Cape Town, Pan-African University, and the Florence School of Regulation, that has been charged to carry out the logistics and the organization of the activity, because the Florence School of Regulation has been adopted as a model for the future African School of Regulation, and other 3 institutions, Enel Foundation, that provided the initial funding to start the activities, Rocky Mountain Institute, and the Foundation of Candegium Kela. Later, during these institutions created a partnership, an agreement that was signed in December 2021. Along 2022, we have started some activities in some organization. We have got 3 other members that have become also managing members of the partnership. And these are Rockefeller Foundation, the Global Energy Alliance for the People and the Planet, GEAP, and the UN Economic Commission for Africa. The fact that we have, let's say, a board or a group of parties managing the initiative does not mean that this is close to any other organization. And certainly we are establishing contacts and relationships with organizations such as the African Forum of Energy Regulators, universities, academic institutions in Africa that eventually could become the host or the host and satellites or spikes in different regions of Africa of the African School of Regulation. So we are open to collaboration with basically any institution interested in participating in this adventure of providing capacity education training in energy regulation in Africa. Although the school is named African School of Regulation, not of Energy Regulation, we have chosen energy as the focus, at least initially, of the school. Energy is obviously an important field. Regulation of energy is also very important, and therefore we think that we are going to start with that, and experience will say if we want to expand to other topics. Regarding the activities that we plan to have, based on the experience that we have seen in the host institution, the Florence School of Regulation, what we think is that we could offer courses. The courses could have different formats. Maybe we will have a long course that could be hybrid, maybe several months, and with some presential part and some online. Given the distance, given the cost, and given the means that we have now available that we didn't have before COVID, probably most of the activities will be virtual. And we have the means, we know how to make those activities very lively and very with a lot of participation, despite the fact that everyone will be in a different place. So this is training that will be the first focus of the school. Second is research. There are many open topics. Things are changing very quickly in the area of regulation. We have decarbonization, we have digitalization, decentralization that are bringing many important changes in the sector, and there are many open questions. So I think that what we would like to do is to be responsive to the needs of the African institutions, that we will have a resource in our school. They could pose questions about topics that they don't have the time or the resources to address, and we will be providing that service for them. Third, I think that we should be a meeting point for a frank dialogue on the hot topics of the moment. And either physically or virtually, we will offer different formats in form of panels, workshops of a few hours, 1 day, 3 days, to explore topics. And I have a list of about 20 of them at the moment that we think that we can elaborate on that and offer that service also to the community. And finally, through the web, we will bring all this material to make available to any interested party. So we will have some news, we will have some briefs, some documents that we have created, and we have access also to our training resources through the web. Well, I think that we have to talk about the solution to the European energy sector, the solution to the North American energy sector, the solution to the Caribbean energy sector, and of course also the African energy sector. All of them are in trouble at the moment, and all of them need innovative solutions to provide good service, reliable, sustainable, affordable for the people. So regulation is a contributor to the solutions. And I would say that regulation is an enabler. It's an enabler and an important one. As I said at the beginning of this interview, what happens with regulation is the regulation conditions, determines the behavior of the agents. And I've seen many occasions in my life as a regulator that like the agents try to game, and I have very interesting anecdotes, try to game the rules, right? And so, but regulation is a component that is important because of determines in the microeconomic space the behavior of the agents, but there are obviously other conditions, other factors like governance, the strength of the institutions, the resources that are available, the technology, the innovation, etc. All that lead to the solution to the energy sector in a particular continent. Something that we believe is important is that as the power sector has been more developed in some countries than in others, it is possible to extract best practices from the experience of many countries around the world, and also from African countries that have succeeded applying some instruments to other countries. So we could be at the African School of Regulation some kind of repository of communication between the countries' best practices, and also with our research we could explore different solutions. What matters in the end is not that the energy sector succeed. The important thing is to provide services for the well-being of people. And this is what matters. So the energy sector, who cares? What matters is that we want to provide energy not energy, we want to provide mobility, we want to provide light, we have to provide heating and cooling and cooking means to people. And I think that regulation is an enabler, necessary enabler to do that efficiently, sustainably, and affordably.